Hi, my name is Gabby Schultz, and I'm here with Zach Quintero. We are with the Young Democrats of New Mexico, and we are pleased to announce that we have Senator Tom Udall here with us today for Between Two Chilies. So, Senator, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and it's wonderful to be here with you, Gabby, and with Zach.
Thanks for being on the show, Senator. This program started a couple of months back, and we've been interviewing a lot of different public officials across New Mexico to re-engage millennials into the political process and say, this matters, and here's how you can get involved, and here's how you can contribute to the conversation. So I think Gabby has our first question.
Okay, Senator. So we ask this of everyone that we have on the show, and the question is, what really drew you into politics at a young age, and what inspired you to get involved?
Well, I actually grew up in a family that had a love for public service. And what happened was that as a very young child, I mean, I was in the first grade, and my dad's elected to Congress, right? And so we moved to Washington 6 months a year, and we're back in the West 6 months a year, and we did that 7 years in a row. And so I just grew up around campaigns. There's an old picture, I'm not sure I remember the scene, but of us in an old convertible Chevrolet, a 1956 Chevrolet, holding signs from my dad, Udall for Congress. And it was just growing up around that, and growing up in an era. You know, he went into the Congress and he served with Jack Kennedy. He served in Jack Kennedy's cabinet, and that was a whole different era in the United States. It was an era of Camelot, and public service was a noble calling, and all of those kinds of things. And so that attracted me, number one. And then the second thing that was particularly fascinating for me was sitting in the living room with all these various leaders that would come home to dinner. And my parents didn't have a lot of money, people weren't paid a lot, and so we waited the table when various ambassadors and leaders and poets and others were around our table. And so you'd hear this fascinating conversation, and the thing I learned out of all of it was ideas can make a real difference in the world. You know, if you come up with a good idea, it may not even be your idea, but you take it and you work really hard at it, and you do everything you can, and you do your very best, then you can accomplish something. And in this society, as we know, you don't accomplish everything. We leave a lot for you, Gabby, you and Zach, and leave you for the future generations. I mean, I wish we were accomplishing more right now than we actually are. But I love the idea that both of you are engaged, that millennials are going to get engaged, and that you're doing a program to try to draw young people into public service, to civic action, to do it playing some kind of role. You know, you don't have to be an elected official. There's so many ways you can give back.
Great. Well, that hits the nail on the head of what we were looking for, actually, because the historical background, how you were raised in a family that saw public service as a noble feat. And do you still feel that's the same case today?
Well, I feel that in my heart, because that's the way I was raised. But I'm very, I'd say, disenchanted and disappointed with the image that Washington portrays to the country and to the world. I mean, there's an image of gridlock, of not being able to get things done, of too much bickering, too much fighting, and making Washington the enemy in a way. And I try to not do all of that stuff, and try to show people there's a better way, there's a good example. And to tell you the truth, with the 24-hour news cycle, there is an awful lot good stuff that doesn't come out. I mean, it's kind of the secret in Washington. Like, I'm working on a toxic chemicals bill, which would be a major reform of environmental law. We're probably going to get it done this year. And nobody would say that you could get that done in this Congress. And it will show everybody, I think, in a very significant way, we can get things done, and we can break the mold and go back to public service being a noble calling.